Hi everybody, it's Tom from Permission to Travel. Today we're talking about solo cruising. So we're going to continue talking about some of the solo travel tips, and specifically we're going to focus today on cruising. So let's get started. So first we have to talk about the solo supplement, because that's the biggest part of the decision behind solo cruising. So the solo supplement is what you have to pay if you go on a cruise by yourself. And so what happens is the rooms are double occupancy, so sometimes you have to pay for a second person even if they're not going. And so that's what the solo supplement is. So what happens is some cruise lines, you have to pay 100% for a second person. Sometimes it's 50, sometimes there's specials and promotions that they do where it's getting waived. So you have to kind of look and research your cruise lines and see. Most cruise lines are 75 to 100% of the second person. So you basically are paying for like 1 3/4 of people. And so that kind of, that gets in some people's ways. Look for promotions. So first and foremost, usually river cruises will do something. So I'm actually going on a cruise next year with Avalon Waterways, and they waive their single supplements a lot, and so that's actually how I got to go on that. So they waived it for me for that one. Also look at sometimes you can find specific ships that have either what's called studio rooms or solo rooms and cabins, and so that's basically what you want to look for. And so what they mean is basically only one person can be in those rooms. And so you have to just basically go by yourself, but you don't have to do the supplement at all for any of those rooms. Some cruise lines, such as Royal Caribbean, they have as you move up through their loyalty program, they're called the Crown and Anchor Society, basically you get discounts off of the solo supplement. So once you hit a certain point, you're only paying 50% instead of 100%. And so you just kind of look for those things. The best known one is Norwegian. They have, most of their ships tend to have solo, and they tend to run deals and promotions here and there for people that are cruising and doing solo stuff. So they're known as the best. And then you just kind of, again, research and look and see what you want to pay. A lot of times if you book as soon as dates are released, you can tend to get the studio rooms or the solo rooms and cabins pretty easily. And so just kind of have to watch and see when stuff is being released. That's why it's important to have a travel agent, because they'll be able to tell you and help guide you into when stuff is going to become available. After that, it's get involved. Big thing behind this is talking with your cruise members and cast members and stuff like that. Just getting to know them and asking them questions, letting them get to know you, things like that. And that's a big piece behind this one, because what ends up happening is they get to know you and they can kind of give you suggestions and tell you stuff that's going on in the boat. Other things like that. So it kind of helps you along with being able to kind of connect with other people, find things you're interested in, stuff like that. People tend to say that doing smaller boats helps when you're doing solo travel, because they get to know you better. There's not as many people that they have to remember, and so it tends to be easier for them to be able to help you out. Once you start getting to larger boats, there's more people, and it's harder for their crew members to figure out and remember who is who. So that's up to you. Some people really like their large trips and still do the solo cruising that way. Really up to you, whatever you prefer, but I tend to have noticed that doing the smaller boats, they get to know you a little bit better. After that is you want to make friends. This is a kind of controversial one, because when we do solo travel, sometimes we don't want to go with friends, or we don't want to make friends and do stuff like that. So find that balance for you. Figure out where you feel the most comfortable and where you feel like it would be best for you to be able to make those friends and kind of combat that loneliness. Some people, such as myself, we don't really get to those points where we feel super lonely. So it's really okay for us. And some people are afraid of that. So you want to make sure you have spots where you can go make friends, do things like that, go to different groups. There tends to be meetups and things like that where you can go to specifically towards solo people, and so you go to those, you get to interact with people that are specifically there on solo trips, make friends, do things like that, and you can kind of make plans if you want to and go from there. After that is go to trivia. Every cruise line that I've ever been on has tons of trivia nights and be able to do. What I love is they're not super competitive, so it's not, for money or anything like that. Usually you win like either like a little tiny little trophy, or you get like a cup for like, it has the logo of the cruise line on it. And so you want to look at something like that, because it tends to be more laid back. You get to laugh, get to do some stuff, kind of engage with other people and talk. And I like that it's not super competitive, so that you can be able to sit and talk to people, as well as also answer the questions. A lot of times the person who's running it will stop and talk and interact and do things like that as well, which is super cool. So they don't just try to race through it as quickly as possible. They'll laugh and carry on and ask questions and sing along and do things like that along with the trivia. It's super fun. After that, you have going to the bars. And so again, another one that people are uncomfortable with, but I always think it's cool. I tend to go to the bar and we'll talk to the bartender. I usually have one bar that I go to, one bartender that I will talk to, and they again get to know you. They know what drinks you like. They can give you suggestions, and they just get to know you a little bit more. And so it kind of helps with being able to do some of those things to be able to engage. And then being in a bar setting, then you also, people tend to talk a little more. It tends to be a little more laid back, and so you can pull in some people that are on the cruise that you can be able to talk to them, get to know them, and things like that. After that is you want to take classes, and that is actually something I think is super fun. There are tons of classes that are usually available on ships. I've done the towel folding, I've done origami, I've done cake and cupcake decorating, and all different kinds of ones. When you go on the longer ones that are more international based, you can do language classes. There's ones where they talk about like financial stuff. There's ones where they talk about the ports. And so there's different classes and lectures and things like that. They're super cool to go to because you get to be able to learn different things. And again, you get to talk with other people and be around other people and also learn at the same time and just have fun, because one of my favorite was doing the cupcake decorating, because I just think it was fun to do, to be able to use the modeling chocolate and stuff and make, I think it was a frog that I put on top of my cupcake, but it was super fun and absolutely loved doing it. I would definitely do that one again. And it's just something that is fun because you get to laugh and talk, and nobody's good at, the different things that we're doing. And so it's just fun to be able to do that. After that one is taking the ship shore excursions. There's kind of multiple reasons behind this one. First and foremost, there's, the safety in numbers. So if you're doing something by yourself and you're worried about going off into another country on your own, this is something where you have other people around you, and it feels a little bit safer to be able to do that. And it just kind of helps out in that way. Another reason for a ship shore excursion is you're guaranteed to be able to get back on the boat. So if it's running late, they'll wait for you. If you do something private or on your own, you always run that chance of it not being able to get back on the boat on time. And again, while you're doing that, you get to make friends, you get to engage with people. I have met people that I've talked to at the bars or at the solo meetups, and we just happen to be on the same shore excursion, and then we get to bond and do some more stuff from there. There always ends up tending to be like one couple or one group of people or something that everywhere I go on the ship, I tend to see them. And so that kind of helps out with that bonding and be able to see them, and then end up on a short excursion or two just by accident with them. And that adds for more bonding and more stuff like that. After that, you have your pre-cruise roll calls. So a lot of websites, a lot of places will have where before you get on the cruise, you kind of say what ship you're going on, what cruise you're doing, what dates you're doing, and then people get to go on and say that they're doing it as well. You can engage, you can talk to them, you can do different things with them in that time being. Facebook is known for that. So Facebook will have ones that are specific to cruise lines. They will also have ones that are specific to ships. I have run across every ship in the Royal Caribbean fleet, and you get to go on and just talk to different people and engage, and say if you're on with family, get suggestions from each other, things like that. And so you get to just basically kind of sound off and see how many people are on there. You can see where there's solo people, because people will also say if they're going on there by themselves, and you can set up like little meetings and stuff at like the different solo meetings and classes and things like that. Another one that I always point people towards is Cruise Critic. Cruise Critic actually has a lot of roll calls and things on there as well. I think those ones on Cruise Critic are actually date specific, so you can actually go to a specific date and ship, and then be able to say what you're doing and kind of who you're there with and all that fun stuff as well. So that's something that's out there as well. After that is dinner. So dining is always a big question that I get when it comes to solo cruising. Travel, yes. Regular travel, yes. But cruising, it feels a little more intense because you're on there and you tend to have to sit with other people, and there's a lot of questions that I get about the dining. So 3 big things. Number 1 is table. So table size matters in this based off of what you want to do. So as far as the table being larger, there tends to be more people, and so there's more people to engage, and there tends to be people that are in 3s or 5s, and so you can kind of blend in more. When you do a smaller table, you run into being with another couple or another 2 couples, and you kind of feel like the third wheel in a way. And so that's the big thing, is you want to make sure that you do whatever you feel the most comfortable doing, and so that's one of the big things with that. Second one is to look at early versus late dining. So early dining tends to attract more families, and early dining tends to attract an older crowd as well. So if you're in your 20s, you want to look at more of the late dining. Just depends on what you want to do. And so basically late dining tends to allow you to be able to do more stuff during the daytime, come back from your short excursion, relax a little bit, do that stuff, and then you get to go to dinner later. That gives you time to kind of shower, do whatever you want to do, go from there, and then gives you a chance. There tends to be more solo people that go to the late dining than to the early dining. Again, you can learn that all in the roll call. You can try to set things up through that and everything as well, going back to the previous one. Finally, a third one is looking at whether you want to do buffet versus specialty versus main dining rooms. So each one has a different kind of crowd that you tend to see. So specialty tends to be more couples and like special occasions. So you'll tend to eat by yourself when you do the specialty ones. You can technically be set with other people, but usually they don't do that. Main dining is where you want to make sure that you're going in and you're going to be sitting with that larger small table. The other thing you can do for that one is if you really don't want to sit with other people is you can go the first day of the cruise, you can go and speak to the maitre d' at the restaurant and ask for your table to be moved so that you're sitting by yourself. Sometimes they're able to accommodate later on, but it's always easier to go earlier rather than later, and then you'll be able to help from there. So that's main dining. And then buffet is your last one, and buffet, solo people tend to do buffet a lot because you get to sit by yourself and there's really no questions asked and things like that. So it just depends on what you want to do. I tend to do a combo of all of them. I don't like to do just all one the whole time I'm on a cruise, and so I just kind of mix and match and go from there. After that, we have taking solo group cruises. And so the big thing behind that is you want to look at different websites, things like that. So they actually will have where it's just solo people as a group you go, and then you do meetups together and different things like that together. And you just kind of do everything as a theme, as a group. The shore excursions, the classes, you just kind of do things as a group. Tends to break off a little bit. Once you kind of get to know somebody, you'll tend to break off and kind of create smaller groups. And so that's something that tends to happen. So that is all the solo trips that I have for specifically to cruising. If I left anything out, please leave a comment. Let me know if there's any other suggestions you have. If there's anything on there that I left out. If there's anything on there that you want to reinforce or add anything to, please leave a comment. Definitely like and subscribe. We're still trying to get our hours and get our stuff in and get our subscribers, and we're still coming along. So have safe travels, and remember to give yourself permission to travel, and I will come to you soon, and have a great day. All right, thank you.